Football from a different angle now. You're watching ESPN Classic. We hope you like it here.
From the double-winning side of 1971 to George Graham's champions and Arsene Wenger's invincibles, Sports Classics features some of Arsenal's greatest players. This trip to Selhurst Park to play Crystal Palace came towards the end of a glorious season for the Gunners. The lineup included future manager George Graham. Commentary comes from Brian Moore.
So Arsenal get us away in yellow shirts and blue shorts, defending the goal to our right, having reached a real high pressure point of the season for them. They know that they can lose no more ground to Leeds United. Still 7 points behind them, 2 games in hand, a precarious lead over Cologne in the Fairs Cup, facing a cup replay against Leicester on Monday. The burden of the season really beginning to bear down on them, and they'll really desperately look for a win today. George Graham at that near post waiting for this long cross there from Radford. Armstrong nodding it back in again. David Payne to get it away for the Palace. Radford back in once more. And Sewell there. And Story going in first. And Sewell very coolly getting it away. McNabb hard in on Kemba. And Kemba equally hard in on McNabb. Charlie George. And now George Graham. Stopped well again by Payne. Birchinall. In their claret shirts and the thin blue stripe. Well cut out there by McClintock. Graham and a long one to send Radford chasing. McCormick, tremendous pace in these opening minutes, and McCormick, Jackson just saving that, and he's well outside his area, so he can't touch it with his hands. Takes the safe way out. Graham. And Radford with the throw again. Kennedy there. George Graham once more, and Sewell going in, only half getting it away, but then only getting it away as far as George Armstrong. Good looking cross by Armstrong, and Jackson dominant in that 6-yard area. Wall, who missed the game at West Ham last week, a flick inside and finds Kemba. Peter Wall. Cut out by Rice. Tambling. Payne. And Birchinall, with sheer physical effort, beating away the challenge of McClintock, and then with skill getting past Charlie George, but the feet must have been flying there a bit by George, and it's going to be a free kick to Crystal Palace, which Peter Wall, the number 3, can take for them. Blythe, the number 6, has gone up for it. And the referee having a word with Birchinall and with Charlie George. Getting just a little too excited in these opening minutes. There's Blythe, the big number 6, and Kennedy watching him closely. Wall's free kick going in, and my goodness, Simpson was there. Scott going in there, out-jumped and outweighed by a combination of McNabb and McClintock. Payne. Oh, and down he goes, pulled down there by Armstrong, and another free kick for the Palace. Palace, who have beaten Arsenal once this season and drawn twice with them. Tambling then to get another go. This time floating it. McCormick in there! Oh, across that goal. And McCormick, who came up at the last moment, very nearly getting through. Sewell jumping well. Very lively start indeed by Crystal Palace. And Kemba obstructing Armstrong and showing dissent, and he could be getting into trouble. Now it's McClintock. George. Kennedy. Story. McNabb. Kennedy and George going in on it, and so too was Mel Blythe, and it's a corner now at the other end to the Arsenal. It'll be Armstrong to take it. Kennedy on that goal line. Oh, and my goodness, they allowed that to go a long way through before it was finally headed away. Simpson. McClintock right up there on the far side, getting ahead to it. Kennedy there, and Rice right in there too. Birchinall, a header for Scott. Tambling. Kemba will pounce on that one. And he did very well, although he was off balance, to find Sewell. The looking cross by Sewell. Birchinall going in on it and getting ahead to it before Wilson's fist. George. Kennedy. A lot of good action in this game in the first 12 minutes or so. And now it's Tambling. There's Birchinall. No, Simpson sticking out a foot. Payne. Back to Kemba. A lot of atmosphere too. Hoadley. Still Hoadley. A flick now for Kemba. Can he turn it back? He can, and Birchinall going in for it, but McClintock getting ahead to it. McNabb only as far as Sewell. Kemba again. Still Palace piling it on. Just against the bar. And Scott just passed. My goodness, how close. Good work there by the Palace. Finding their men well. And that tantalising cross from Kemba. Here he is, deceiving Wilson and smacking the crossbar. Wall to take the throw for Crystal Palace. Payne, what a lively game Payne's had already this afternoon for the Palace. Here's McClintock. And Charlie George a long way back. Charlie George, of course, a character that the Palace wouldn't know too well. He was injured when they were playing Arsenal in those early season games. There's George again. What a good-looking pass there to find George Graham. But now it's McCormick. Scott and Kemba not understanding each other too well, but are getting out of it. Sewell to Kemba. Hoadley to McCormick. Pumped hard and high forward, and Birchinall's after it. So is McClintock. And Scott now, can he turn this one back? Well, he's beaten McClintock. Birchinall at the far side and a little too high for him. Now Wall surging through. Hard across that goal, but behind it too. Good strong play by Crystal Palace. Birchinall again. That was a little too deep for him, that cross from Jim Scott. Took up that position at the far post that could have been so dangerous. Sewell running into trouble. Graham. Simpson. And Blythe. Oh, losing it to Radford though. Armstrong. Beating Scott. Oh, and obstructed by Blythe. So Arsenal's free kick. All the tricks there of George Armstrong stopped in uncompromising fashion there by Mel Blythe, the centre of those three Crystal Palace defenders. Here's Armstrong quickly with the free kick. Radford! Blocked by Hoadley. Radford again! And Palace so lucky there. They really were lucky there, as Radford had two goes at it. The first block, the second wide. With Jackson completely unsighted and helpless. So he's pretty relieved now. Graham, I can't remember Graham losing a ball in the air this afternoon. Hoadley. And surely offside, yes. The Arsenal defence have come forward so quickly that at least three Palace players caught offside. And this fellow was one of them. Alan Birchinall. McClintock. Graham at the far side. They're getting him his head. There it is, George Graham. Arsenal supporters delighted, and a fine cross there by McClintock. Graham rising. He hasn't missed a thing in the air, connecting with that one just inside the far post. So with 27 minutes gone, Arsenal go into the lead through George Graham. The man who scored in our Golden Goals winner here on this ground last season, I wouldn't think that would quite qualify for it, but it was still a finely taken goal, and one that Arsenal was so pleased to get. Now it's a free kick to Crystal Palace. And it's going to be Phil Hoadley with it. Graham nodding that one away. Payne nodding it back in again. Graham once more to get it away. Radford. Armstrong to Kennedy. McClintock. And Armstrong again. Charlie George right up there. And McClintock right in there too. Palace player down and injured. It looks as though it might be McCormick. Yes, it's McCormick, and the play is going on with Pat Rice. Payne losing it in the air. Radford driving it high and over. And McCormick looks as though he's all right again. A little bit shaken. So John Jackson then to take the goal kick for Crystal Palace. Again Graham winning it in the air. Graham once more. Really has had a tremendous effect on this Arsenal side again. Now it's Mel Blythe. Oh, handled there deliberately. Play on, says the referee, although it looked to me also as though David Payne handled it in putting it down, but the referee obviously wanted to give Palace as much advantage as he possibly could. Wall. Tambling, trying a 1-2, which came off very well indeed there. So it's Crystal Palace's throw. And Kemba to take it. Quite a good long throw there by Kemba, and George Graham right back there. He seems to be everywhere, Graham, this afternoon. Get it away as far as Radford. And now Story. 3 against 3. In fact, 4 Arsenal players against 3 from the Palace as they come forward with some speed. Story putting it across there, and Jackson to cut it out. Very impressive looking break there by Arsenal in some strength. Now Kemba. Birchinall. Wall. McClintock firmly on his body. Graham. Oh, the cheek of it, leaving it for Radford, and Radford sweeping it now for Armstrong. Arsenal playing some great stuff now. Armstrong still setting himself up for a shot. Oh, fine save by Jackson. But what a lovely sweeping move, dangerous move again by the Arsenal. Needed all of Jackson's skill to keep it out. Here's the corner. Simpson going up for this one, getting ahead to it, and Jackson grabbing that one too. Kemba. Rice. George. And Rice. Arsenal growing in confidence all the time now. Radford! Oh, across that goal! How did he miss that one? He went in on it so fast. McNabb getting there before Birchinall. Well into injury time now at the end of the first half. Kennedy. Oh, and Armstrong getting in each other's way, so it sends Kemba away. But before they can get really away, the whistle has gone for half-time. First half dominated by George Graham, who has scored the only goal of the game so far with that header to put Arsenal into the... So Crystal Palace then preparing to kick off at the start of the second half. They really already, although there's 1 goal down only, it's a difficult enough task for them. Arsenal have won 6 of their last 8 games, and Palace for their part have scored only twice in their last 5. But Birchinall will go on trying, and Scott couldn't quite get on the end of that one, and so it's a goal kick to the Arsenal. Palace, who just had a week in Jersey, toning up for this match. They might need all their energy and all their efforts and all their enthusiasm to overcome this Arsenal defence in the second half. Here's Bob Wilson. Ball beating Kennedy, Tambling. Birchenall trying to get in ahead of McClintock, but McClintock found Story in turn to Armstrong. Back to McNabb. And the push in the back by McCormick on Radford. McCormick complaining that Radford was backing into him. He's forcing McNabb to go back 2 or 3 yards and Scott to stay the 10 yards back off the kick. And I suppose we shall get going again. Here's Simpson then with the free kick, and Radford going in, across that goal. And there's a little bit of 6s and 7s then deep in defence. John Jackson with the kick. Certainly a push on the back of Birchenall there by Simpson, but he got away with it, and now it's Payne. Graham to Armstrong. George Graham, and look at this good break here by Story. Turn back again, and Kennedy just couldn't get up to it. But Hoadley got back there. And that really was a most impressive piece of running here by Peter Story. Very nearly put Arsenal completely in the clear in a most dangerous situation, but they got themselves a corner, which Armstrong is going to take. Rice to Armstrong. Story. And a goal kick. McClintock. Noticeable just how much Charlie George is hobbling now. Here's Payne, though, for Crystal Palace. Still Payne going on with a shot. And it'll be Scott now. Armstrong right back to help out on Simpson. Blythe versus Kennedy. And Charlie George really is hobbling very badly now. I would think there must be a big temptation for Arsenal to take him off so that he doesn't aggravate anything that may well have happened already to his ankle. Hoadley, Graham, and Story, and now Sewell. Floated towards Birchenall, but Birchenall beaten in the air. Kemba to pounce on it again. Down he goes, and a free kick given on the edge of that Arsenal penalty area against Story. George there, you can see on the left of that picture, still hobbling. And in fact, it's noticeable that there's a sub in the Arsenal bench, John Samuels, beginning to tie up his boots. There he is on the left. The free kick now. John Samuels on the left. Here's the free kick. Kemba. And it was Simpson who got it away. And now McNabb, of all people, to make the break amongst the front runners for the Arsenal, but not with any great success. Payne coming right back. Scott. Birchenall. Story going in again as though his life depends upon it. Really, there's no half measures when you come to Peter Story. But in fact, it must have been Birchenall lying on that ball. And it looks as though Samuels is waiting to come on. And Charlie George, who was injured a few minutes ago, going off, and John Samuels, the man who was barracked by the Arsenal crowd against Cologne on Wednesday night, coming back on again as a substitute. Payne, and Arsenal's throw. Radford looks as though he might try a long throw. Simpson's gone into that middle. There's the number 12 substitute, John Samuels. 10 is Kennedy. And Wall, though, getting ahead to it for Crystal Palace. Scott. So many Arsenal players around there, one leading it to the other, and a free kick given against Crystal Palace, against Jim Scott. Simpson and McNabb deciding between themselves who's to take it. It's going to be Simpson with a little chip there. Radford trying to get in on the end of it. Scott to get it away, but only as far as McNabb. Payne. Oh, Armstrong doing well there with such a limited amount of space, and Payne pulling him down, and the free kick given. Really has been a stop-start second half, so many free kicks. Armstrong with this free kick for the Arsenal. And it's Hoadley who got it right away. As far as Birchinall, a lone Palace striker, no support for him, and 4 Arsenal defenders around him. Here's McClintock. Payne with that one. Story to pull it back. To look for Radford. Now can Radford slip past McCormick for about the first time? He gets it across. Blythe there, almost putting it into his own goal and kicking it away just before it could cross the line, with his heart pounding, no doubt. McNabb now for the Arsenal, turning it in again. Samuels, too high for him, but not for Hoadley. And Wilson, who's had next to nothing to do in this second half. Sewell hanging there for Birchinall. And on comes the Crystal Palace substitute now, Jerry Humphreys, and Jim Scott is going off. There's Humphreys coming on, and Scott going down into the tunnel. Scott, who faded a fair bit after a very bright opening for Crystal Palace. Now Armstrong. But back with Jackson. Blythe back once more to Jackson. Not a very good kick there by Jackson either. Straight to Samuels. Holding off Tambling. Turning it in now for Kennedy. Wide on the far side for Armstrong. Oh, nice little ball there by Armstrong for Graham, and hard across again. And it's Hoadley who finally gets a foot there to put it away for the Palace. Graham and Armstrong between them, the two most dangerous Arsenal forwards this afternoon. Here's, in fact, you saw the number 7, there he is, and George Graham just having taken the throw. Tamlin getting that one away for the Palace. Armstrong. Story. And Samuels. And now McNabb, of all people. McNabb! Oh, into the side netting with it. Furious with himself. Snaking in there. Apologising for the men who made the passes and made it possible. Although McNabb himself did a lot towards it. Blythe. Kemba trying to lift himself above McClintock, but where Birchinall has failed for a long time this afternoon, and it's hard to expect Kemba, who's a good deal shorter, to succeed. Payne. Good determined little bit of play there by David Payne, and a little foot out at the end of it, but Kemba couldn't get on the end of it. And so it's a goal kick to the Arsenal. Samuels to Rice. And now it's George Armstrong. McNabb. Kennedy waiting for it. Finding George Graham. Now George Armstrong. A little flick that sends Armstrong away, beautifully weighted there by Graham, and Sewell catching it on the back of his heels. And Arsenal's corner. McClintock making a burst into that penalty area. Burchinal going with him, looking for him, losing him and finding him again, and Wall to get it away. It's George Graham to Peter Storey. John Sewell, I can't think why he's trying to put it in the corner flag there. It seems as though he wants to waste time. In any case, it's Arsenal in possession again with George Graham. McClintock right up there on this side of the field. And Radford going in with a header. And Samuels too! And there it is! A deflection off McCormick, but the credit must go to Samuels. With a little over a minute left. And that must make it absolutely safe for the Arsenal. George Graham scored the first one, the man who came on as a substitute on the match against Cologne. Samuels, who was a substitute this time, gets the second one, and Arsenal are happy. It must have been a deflection with that tremendous shot by Samuels. And two very valuable points coming their way in their quest to catch up with Leeds United. Armstrong. Now Sewell, Payne, Armstrong. And in fact the whistle has gone and it's all over. With a victory for Arsenal. George Graham the first goal for them, and a fine header it was. John Samuels the second one with that deflection, but they all count. And Arsenal thereby come away from Selhurst Park the winners. The final score here is Crystal Palace 0. The